Well, I did not expect to get that type of news this morning. This is, wow. Bill Belichick pulled the trigger on this one, huh? So, we just got the report. The Patriots have released Cam Newton. I'm shocked that this happened. I'm surprised this happened now, but I'm not surprised they're releasing him. Because, Cam Newton last season, he didn't play well as a starter. Obviously, it wasn't all his fault. He didn't exactly have the best of weapons to utilize. In fact, he didn't have any weapons. The Patriots were the only team I was willing to accept and say that they had worse weapons than we had last year. Cam had nothing to work with last year, so he played bad. I get it. And obviously, in the draft, they drafted Mac Jones. So as soon as he was drafted, I immediately knew that Cam Newton's time in New England was going to be short-lived. Because eventually, probably, I thought after a year, he'd be maybe even less than that. But after a year, he'd be ready to take over the spot, and the Patriots would move on from Cam Newton if they don't want to keep him as their backup. That's what I initially thought. So I thought Cam was going to be the starter coming into the season. He's got weapons now. So far in the preseason, he played well. So far in the preseason's over, but he played well in the preseason. So he looked nice. He looked ready. He looked, reformed. It looked like he was ready to do some big things with the Patriots. I don't know how he would have fared, but he looked nice in the preseason. So I thought he was going to get the starting job. I didn't think Belichick would immediately just put in Mac Jones as a starter, but that ended up being the case. I thought Mac Jones maybe at best would be able to come in halfway through the season if Cam Newton's struggling. At that point, Belichick would be like, all right, let's see what the rookie's got. He'd throw him in, and if he thrives, they'd move on from Cam Newton. That's what I thought. But no. Oh, no. This came much quicker than I expected. Now, if anyone's been paying attention to how Mac Jones has looked, he has looked really great in the preseason. He looked great. He played great. Had some mistakes here and there, but the man was making some really great throws. He was patient. He was reading the defense. He was playing well. See, a lot of people trying to say he looked like a young Brady. First of all, don't do that to Mac Jones. Do not compare these young players to all-time greats. That's just throwing needless expectations on them without them being able to do anything. Don't do that to them. I hate when we try to do that to rookies. We compare them to all-time great players. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Let them create their own legacies. Let's see what they got. Don't compare them to greats. Please don't do that. Let them build their own resume, please. But yeah, Mac Jones has looked so nice in the preseason. And because he looked nice in the preseason, I was thinking, man, I know earlier I was saying a year, but he really could end up coming in if Cam Newton shows any sign, not even like any sign of struggle. Belichick would have immediately put in Mac Jones, even if it was week 1. That's how I was thinking after the preseason. But I still thought Cam would be the starter. So to see this news kind of shocked and surprised me here. But at the end of the day, it makes sense for this move to happen because I just couldn't see Cam Newton as a backup. I doubt it was Belichick that really just came up with the decision to just immediately cut Cam Newton. What I believe happened was Belichick announced Mac Jones to be the starter for week 1. Or most likely just saying he's going to be our starter moving forward. Cam will be the backup. Cam probably then went to go talk to Belichick because Cam Newton didn't go to New England to be a backup quarterback. He went to New England to be the guy. So if he's here as a backup, he might as well be released. He didn't come here to be a backup. So he probably talked with Belichick and said, well, if you're going to keep me here as the backup, you might as well release me. And of course, Belichick's going to do that because you don't want to have your backup quarterback have resentment towards the young rookie who's going to be the starter because it's just going to bring tension in the locker room. You don't want that. So it made sense. That would be the only valid reason I could see why the Patriots would cut him. Because if it's not due to Cam wanting to be cut because he doesn't want to be a backup, it wouldn't make sense for the Patriots to cut him because he's better than 90% of the backups right now. He certainly deserves a backup quarterback spot. So if it's not Cam Newton directly being like, I don't want to be a backup, I don't want to be here if you're not going to make me the starter, then I don't see how they would, choose to cut him. It wouldn't make sense. So that's probably the reason. They probably chose to just cut him because Cam personally was like, I don't want to be a backup here, release me, I'll just figure something else out. So yeah, that's probably what they ended up doing. But yeah, wow. Cam got released. I wasn't expecting that. I really was not expecting Cam to get released. At least not this soon. So yeah, Mac Jones is now the starter for them moving forward. And yeah, we'll see how that works out for the Patriots. The young guy looked nice. He looked nice in the preseason, but now he's going to be going up against, the starters and the number ones and some of the best in the NFL. So let's see how he does for his rookie year. As for Cam Newton, I don't know what's next for him. I see a lot of people saying at this point, you might as well retire. Because I'm looking around the NFL and I'm like, what team would really want him as their starter at this point? There's not a single team in the AFC I can really look at and say, yeah. Even the Texans, with the whole Deshaun Watson situation, they're looking to trade him potentially to the Dolphins to get Tua. So they'll have another guy there. I'm looking throughout the AFC. I don't see any spot for him. And then the NFC, well, in the AFC, maybe Denver, but Bridgewater's got that locked. No, nothing in the AFC. And in the NFC, I just don't see anything for him to be the starter. I see plenty of spots he can be the backup, but the starter? Nah, it'd be tough. So if Cam's not willing to get a backup quarterback spot and nobody's willing to pick him up to be the guy at this stage, then Cam may have to seriously consider retirement because I just don't know what's the next move for him. It doesn't look like any team's looking for a starting quarterback right now, so he would have to take a backup role. And considering he didn't want to be a backup in New England, most likely, I don't see how he'll be a backup with another team. So I just don't know what the next move is for Cam Newton. This might be the end of his career. He may end up retiring due to this, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. What a way to start your morning, but this is crazy. So, man, Cam gets released. Mac Jones becomes a starter. And things get very interesting in New England because now it's a new era. It's the Mac Jones era. And we'll see what Belichick can do with this young quarterback. With that being said, that's really all I got to talk about because, man, this came out of nowhere. Would have never expected Cam Newton to get released. I didn't even see that coming. Maybe next season, but this season, it looked like he was locked in for a starter. And it wasn't like he was struggling in the preseason. He played well in the preseason. So to see him get cut? Nah, didn't expect that. Belichick must really see something special in Mac Jones, which I'm not going to lie, Mac Jones has been looking nice, so I don't blame him, but he must be seeing something special in Mac Jones for him to make this decision right off the bat. Like, no hesitation, he's the starter going forward. Cam, you're the backup. If you don't want to be the backup, you can leave. But man, it's just something about Mac Jones that Bill Belichick's seeing. But yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much all I got to talk about this. If Cam gets a job somewhere, he gets a job somewhere. If not, he may have to retire. That's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.